I tested a lot of Canon cameras out in 2024. Most of them I liked. There was one that stood out the most. This is the Canon R5 Mark II. Hey, what's up guys? My name is Kris Luckenbach. I'm a wildlife photographer here in beautiful Kodiak, Alaska. And my goal is to not only share some amazing footage that I like to capture, but I also want to inspire you to get out and chase your dream just like I'm doing every single day. Okay, so not only did I use the R5 Mark II in 2024, I used the R5, which is what I'm recording with. I used the R6, the R6 Mark II, the R3, the R7, and the R8. So I used most of Canon's new mirrorless lineup, and a lot of them are decent. As a wildlife photographer and someone that likes to shoot high frame rate, so 20, 30 frames per second, I made a YouTube video before explaining how I can't shoot without a CF Express card. So a lot of cameras are going to get a negative check mark on that, because if you don't have a CF Express card, you can only shoot a couple photos at a time. So that eliminates most of these cameras that only have SD card slots, like the R6, the R6 II, the R7, and the R8. That brings me to the R3, which I don't have right now, and the R5 what I'm recording, and the R5 Mark II. All of those cameras are absolutely amazing for wildlife photography and wildlife videography, or whatever other needs you need in photography. Those cameras are going to be the workhorse. There are rumors that there will be an R6 Mark III coming out that has a CF Express card, and the only other camera that does is the R1, but I'm not including it in this video because I haven't tested it, so I don't want to give you feedback on something I don't know anything about. I do know this: the R1 and the R5 Mark II are the only mirrorless cameras in Canon's lineup that aren't cinema models, but they have this one feature that I can't live without anymore, and that is CLOG 2. Now, CLOG 2 is basically a color profile that you shoot in log footage, which means you're gonna get this dull gray image looking. It's gonna be uninspiring to shoot with, but you're gonna get the most detail. And I found that CLOG 2 is your closest way of editing video colors, just like you would be editing photos. It's easy to color, and you get the most highlight and shadow recovery. And later on, I'll show you in Premiere Pro exactly how I edit my CLOG 2 footage using my presets and without them. Now, if you're a little confused, I say CLOG 2, but on the Canon cameras now, it says C2 under the log settings, so it might confuse to some people. C2 is Canon Log 2. Canon's most recent mirrorless cameras before the R5 Mark II and the R1 came out with had CLOG 1 and CLOG 3, and they were both great. They were definitely better than shooting in a standard color profile. Shooting in a standard color profile for video is basically like shooting JPEGs in photos. You don't have much to work with when it comes to changing colors, highlights, or shadows. In fact, you pretty much have nothing to work with, especially when it comes to highlights and shadows. CLOG 1 and CLOG 2 are both still pretty great, but I definitely feel like CLOG 2 is the absolute best. If you're a professional and you still have the R5 or the R5C, don't worry about upgrading just now, because CLOG 2 is really good, but CLOG 1 and CLOG 3 are both great as well. They've been used in Netflix movies and documentaries. Like the R5C has been proven to be a Netflix approved camera, and that only has CLOG 1 and CLOG 2, or CLOG 3. It's not like the most game-changing thing without it, but once you use it, once you use CLOG 2, you'll never be able to go back to CLOG 1 or CLOG 3. Let me show you right now on Adobe Premiere Pro exactly how I edit my CLOG 2 footage. My workflow when it comes to editing videos with CLOG 2 in Adobe Premiere Pro has never been simpler. Okay, so once you import your CLOG 2 footage into Adobe Premiere Pro, you're gonna notice it looks very, very gray and dull. Very boring. The first thing you're gonna do is right click up here in the project panel, the footage, and you're gonna go to modify, color, and you're gonna override the color media space, select the drop down and select Canon CLOG 2. You're gonna hit OK, and now it's gonna look a little bit better once we pull it into the timeline. Watch this, it's gray right now. We pull it on the timeline, and now it looks a little bit better. It's not perfect. This is where we're going to come up to over here on the Lumetri panel. If your Adobe doesn't look like this right now, click this blue icon here up on the top right, and you're gonna click the Essentials panel, and now it's gonna have everything like I do. Make sure you're updated to the newest version of Adobe Premiere Pro. What we're gonna do is edit this kind of like a photo, but video is a little more tricky to edit, and I'm just going to show you exactly what I do. This works for about 90% of CLOG2 images. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to adjust the saturation up to 100, or in this case on Adobe Premiere Pro it's really 200. And then we're going to increase the contrast up to 100. We have a better starting point. This lets me know the footage is a little bit underexposed just by looking at it. When you're working with humans, you might want to go ahead and learn this color space panel and learn how these histograms work. For this video, well, let's just leave it how I have it right here. If we go to the color panel, you can see it, but we're just going to use our eyes. We're not going to use the histogram. We're trying to make this as simple for you as possible. So the footage looks a little bit dark. This is assuming your monitor is calibrated properly. So I'm going to raise the exposure up just a little bit. Now it's a little bit cooler than what I'd like, so I'm going to just warm it up just a little bit. And now it's starting to look a little bit where it's supposed to. Maybe if we see some blues up here, it's a little bit too blue. Warm it up just a tad more. That looks a lot better. It's still not as vibrant and beautiful and contrasty as it should be. So what we're going to do is ignore the highlights and shadows right now, because that looks really good. The highlights aren't overblown. The shadows aren't underexposed. So that looks good. What we're going to do is add a little more contrast, because it's just still not enough. We're going to take the whites and increase it just a little bit. Find what looks good for you in your eyes. And then this is where the magic happens. Bring the blacks down a little bit. And now you're going to really get that nice, simple looking footage that you have. So this is with the new color grade that I added. This is how it looked out of the box. Now, if you go down to the creative panel, you can adjust some more things. You can add some more vibrance to it. Obviously, that's a little too much. You don't want to, overdo anything. You can increase more saturation if you want to. You could change the highlight and shadow tint. Like for a lot of times, I will do like a little bit more blue in the shadows and a little bit more warm in the highlights. And let's just show you exactly what that looks like when I disable that. So it just adds a little bit of a color grade. You can really dive forever into this highlight and shadow tint thing. You can come down here to curves. You can add your own custom curve panel, like really increase the saturation and contrast by doing that. That looks kind of good, a little overdone. Let's just bring that down just a little bit. That looks a lot better. You can change like the color of the leaves. So all you're gonna do is grab this eyedropper tool, click on this red here, and now now you can change this by desaturating the reds, increasing the saturation of the reds, or the hue versus hue panel. You can click the reds again, and you can make them green or purple or whatever. These are my color grading LUTs that I have. I have 3 of them, and my favorite one is Alaskan Dream. It works in 98% of scenarios. I'm just going to open it, and now it's got its own color grade. So this is with it, that's without. What I then like to do is I'll bring it down. I never really leave it at the max intensity. A lot of times I'll bring it down to 60 or something, and then I'll come back up and I'll just adjust the white balance a little bit more. So this is without, and that's with. I just like that a lot. It works for a lot of my footage, and I'm really happy with it all the time. I have a link in the description, $10 for my LUTs. You get 3 of them, and I'll just show you the other 2 real quick on this footage. That's not going to really work. Cold as ice. Going to be a little too cool for this scenario. And Kodiak brown. It's going to be not really what I want for this, but hey, that actually works a lot better. Hey, I like that a lot, actually, over Alaskan Dream. I never tried that one on this. Oh, yeah. See how easy it is to add some tools? That's at 70% intensity. This is what it would look like at 100%. So That's why I knock it down a little bit. This is 0, 70. That looks really good. I'm not trying to toot my own horn here, but I like that. You can do it on your own. You can make these on your own. It's something that you got to mess around with yourself, or you just go ahead and try my presets out. So I just wanted to show you how I quickly color grade each clip with Premiere Pro using CLOG 2. And I hope that this helped you out and gave you the confidence to start shooting in CLOG 2. The R5 II has some other great features that I love that I didn't think I would when I first got the camera, but I really did fall in love with them. One of them is shooting with pre-capture mode when I'm shooting wildlife. It's really helped me out a lot. If you want to see my full Canon R5 Mark II review, click this video right up here. That's all I got in this video. If you liked the video, leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you want to see more Canon content in Alaska. That's all I have. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye.